Hi everybody, it's the Soap Man. I've done a double batch of soap today. This is the hot process. I've done cold process all week. I'm doing a double batch of hot process. This is my coffee soap. I'll talk about that in a minute. It doesn't look very appealing right now, but as you can see, that really dark, thick gel, it's ready to be, it's cooked. I'm going to go ahead quickly and I'll talk about this. This is 1.5 ounces of castor oil. This is going to be a nice super fat that I'm going to put into this soap. Castor oil makes a great super fat because it's really skin nourishing, and castor oil is a humectant, meaning it draws moisture from the air. I really like to use castor oil as a super fat, especially in hot process. One advantage of super fatting your hot process, at the end, it's already cooked. There's no lye in this. So that oil that I just put in is going to be extra oil in this. It's not going to saponify into soap. Now this, by the time I'm finished talking here and ready to mold this will have been cooking for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. If you've not made hot process soap, this is probably not a good one to start out with because I can't record the whole thing with my point and shoot digital camera. Nobody wants to sit here for 1 hour and 15 minutes watching soap cook, and I can't pause it, so unfortunately. But I can talk to you about a few things. When you make, I really prefer cold process. I think the vast majority of people do, although some people swear up and down by hot process and do it only. Even though I prefer cold process for the most part, I do really like hot process soap, and it has some advantages. One is you really don't have to worry about your temperatures with your lye and your water, your lye and your oils. I generally just go ahead and mix the lye up when it's fully mixed and cleared and the oils are melted. I go ahead and mix it together, put it in here, because it's going to get hotter blue blazes. I just checked this, it's 190 degrees, so that's way hotter than any temperature we would get with our oils and lye. So you don't have to worry about that. You generally do not have issues with glycerin rivers with hot process. You don't have issues with soda ash on top with hot process. There are some definite advantages, plus the fact everybody knows you can go ahead, technically anyway, you can go ahead and mold it. When it hardens, you can cut it and use it right then. It's not recommended. It's recommended you still let it cure a minimum of a week, although 3 to 4 is better, which this is going to do, but you technically can use it right then. So if you're in a pinch and need to make some quick soap, hot process is the way to go. Now this is my coffee soap. I use very strong coffee in place of the water. 100% place of the water. When you do that and you mix the lye with it, it smells terrible. Actually, this still has a little bit of smell, but that smell completely dissipates. It really does. Smells terrible at first. But what I do is take that coffee lye mixture, put that in the oils, stick blend it. It turns like a nice creamy caramel color. Here, look at this end of the stick blender. That's sort of what it looks like, sort of that creamy caramel color. But once it cooks and goes into gel, it gets this really nice dark chocolate color. It looks great. It makes a great soap. This is the 3rd time I've done this, and I really like this recipe. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and mix in some cold process soap that I've already made. This is yellow, a very light yellow, a very light blue cold process soap that I made earlier. And I'm going to cut it up into cubes, and I'm going to go ahead and mix it into this in just a minute. I want to do it right before I mold it, because if I mix it too much, this actually will melt that. Couple of things too, when you're doing hot process, if you've never done it or you're new to it, when it first starts to cook, if you've done it before, you know it starts to kind of bubble up over the sides and collapse in on itself. You never want to leave it alone. You want to watch it like a hawk when it's in that, especially when it really gets to that mashed potato stage. You want to watch it like a hawk and never leave it, because trust me, learn from experience, it will rise up over the top, it'll push the lid off, and it'll go all over your counter. It's extremely hot, it has active lye in it, it's very dangerous. You want to watch it like a hawk that first 15 to 20 minutes and stir it as needed. Now once it starts to calm down a little bit, you never want to go very far away. You can still watch it. You probably need to stir it about every 15 minutes. That's what I've done. Stirred it every 15 minutes or so. When you are standing in front of this crock pot, take it from experience. When you're standing in front of this crock pot, put your goggles on. The last time I made hot process, It was fully cooked, fully cured, fully cooked, ready like this. Is ready to put in the mold, and I never even gave it a second thought. Did not put my goggles on, and when I was doing this, a piece flew up and hit me in the eye. Well, it probably doesn't have any active lye in it, but we all know soap still burns, and this is about 190 degrees. It hurt like the devil. I never ever want to experience that again. Do not open the crock pot without putting your goggles on. See? Isn't this sexy? No, probably not, I realize that, but I'm not worried about looking sexy. I'm in my old ratty clothes, so I don't ruin them. I'd rather have my eyes than to look sexy. So, I'm going to go ahead and mix these in. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the mold, let you see what it looks like. I will probably cut this later tonight. It'll take at least a couple hours to cool, maybe longer. I will probably go ahead and cut this tonight. We'll get this out of the way. Now, can I use this crock pot for food? Some say no, the majority say yes, and I say yes. This crock pot actually is primarily used for food. Let's get you out of those. Because this is a double batch, I don't need one this big. I have a smaller crock pot over here. This one is primarily for hot process soap. This is enough to do a single batch, but I use this occasionally for food. The big one I have here is just the opposite. I occasionally use it for hot process. It's primarily for food. People sometimes say no because, yes, it does have, you put lye in it, and of course lye is very dangerous. But the thing is, you're fully cooking it, fully saponifying it. And I don't clean this out, just like my other tools. When I've done with this, I'm going to set this aside. It's already soaked. I'm just going to let it harden. I'm going to soak it with hot water. And it comes clean. And then give it a very, very good cleaning. So, I'm not worried about using this for food again. I've done it for years. Never had an issue. Some people say no just to err on the side of caution, and I can understand that, but the majority of us say yes, it's okay, and I'm one who is, I say that as well. Now that's really all I want to do with mixing this, and I know it doesn't look like much now, it looks pretty gross actually, but this is the third time I've made this. It turned into a great bar of soap. It was great in the shower, it looked good, and surprisingly it smelled good. I don't have a scent in this. It had a natural scent that actually smelled pretty good. Now if you try this, when you mix the lye with the coffee water, it's going to get pretty nasty. It smells bad. It really smells bad. Some people, when you mix other liquids in place of water with lye, like alcohol, tried alcohol one time. And it was Merlot wine, and I cooked it and cooked it. Apparently did not cook it enough, and I poured the lye in all at once. It had a huge volcano that bubbled over. It was very dangerous. Thank God I put it in a tall container and I had my goggles and gloves on, or I would have had a very, very severe lye burn. Very bad lye burn it would have been. And the lye burned the sugars in the wine, smelled horrible. I could not use the soap. I ended up using it in the laundry. That's when I discovered my soap works really well in the laundry. But it smelled so bad and it never ever went away. So, things like milk and alcohol, you generally want to put it in the freezer and freeze it solid and add your lye very, very slowly, to let it gradually, slowly melt it. Now let me get you over here where we can see this. That's all I'm going to do with this. Usually when I do the hot process, I'll take my thermometer and just kind of pick at the top like that to put a rough texture on it, because you can't get a really pretty swirly top on hot process. So I usually just take my thermometer and pick at it to give it a rough, rugged texture on top. But back to your liquids. When you want to do like milk or alcohol, you're going to want to freeze it solid and then add your lye to it, like a teaspoon at a time, and stir it. I mean, you're going to talk about like 15 minutes to get it mixed in. But what I was saying about this smelled absolutely horrible. It has all 3 times, but that terrible smell does not stick with it. It really goes away. And when this starts to gel, you've got the mixture of that gel, that mashed potato phase. It looks terrible. It looks very unappealing. Like this right now does not look good at all. But this is going to make a fantastic bar of soap. Here goes my second one. This was a double batch. Oh golly, I'm starting to melt. My cold process is melting. I got to get it out of here. Notice I still have my goggles on, because even when I was smacking on the floor to get the air bubbles out, I saw pieces flying out like they did that one time and hit me in the eye. That was terribly painful. And you don't want to go through that. That's why they always tell us to wear goggles. Anne Marie at Soap Queen would have been very disappointed in me. Okay, here we go. Put that back. There's a lot of soap in that. A lot of soap left in there. I'm going to leave it, let it ferment tonight. I'm not going to do a thing with it. I'm going to have a nice, thick, concentrated soapy batch to do some laundry with. Actually, this is pretty heavily superfatted. I probably won't do laundry with that, because this is superfatted more heavily than usual. But my soap, I've discovered, is even good for washing dishes, hand washing. I'm never using the dishwasher. I have a relatively new dishwasher and I hate it. I've had a dishwasher almost my entire life, even growing up as a kid. We had one. The one I have now does an absolutely terrible job. I almost never use it unless I just have a ton of dishes, because everything has to be rinsed off when it's done. So most of the time I just hand wash dishes, because I'm not ready to shell out another $500 for a new dishwasher. And my soap does an amazingly good job. That's enough for probably 2 big sinkfuls. That's enough to do dishes twice right there. If I scrape all that off and just soak it in hot water. Anyway, that is my sort of abbreviated version of hot process. I'm sorry I couldn't show you beginning to end. There are plenty of videos out there on YouTube to watch that. And I have learned so much from watching all of you doing this, as well as practice. I just think it's only fair that I return the favor and show you what I do and show you what I've learned. And hopefully you all watch this. Maybe you've learned something. Learn that you can use coffee to make soap. Learn that you can put hot processed cubes in your, cold processed cube soap in your hot process. When this sets up a couple hours, I'll probably cut this, probably later this evening just before bed, go ahead and cut this and get that up as well. Thank y'all for watching. Listen, y'all have a great 4th of July weekend.